You're listening to the Mission Makers Show, a podcast that inspires humans to get into the mindset of success. My name's Farah Nanji, and I'm the founder of a business in the motorsports industry that explores leadership lessons from things like Formula One. I'm also a DJ and music producer in the underground electronic scene, and a public speaker on key topics like resilience, building high-performance teams, overcoming learning difficulties, and stimulating creativity. And to tie it all together, I love writing thought-provoking content as a journalist for these industries which are so unique in themselves. On this show, I'm sitting down with some of the most inspiring and driven people I've met around the world to talk about their processes, their failures, the lessons they've learned, and how they are truly making an impact for this world. For today's episode, we're back in London, this time welcoming Paola Diana to the show. Paola is a best-selling author, activist, entrepreneur, speaker, and journalist. Her work has been featured in publications such as the BBC, Vogue, the Huffington Post, and Forbes, and her journey hasn't been easy, growing up in a household of domestic abuse, which has sparked the fire in her to fight fiercely for human rights around the world. And in this episode, we talk about her journey towards removing oppression and her lifelong mission of unity and female empowerment. Hi, Paola, how are you doing?
Hi, Farah. I'm doing quite well considering this mad period of COVID lockdown and everything else, but I can't complain.
I'm glad to hear you're keeping well during these times. Thanks so much for being a guest on today's Mission Makers. I think our guests will be so excited to learn about your journey and all of the amazing things that you stand for and all of the effort that you've done to help women succeed in their lives and be a supportive figure. So I'd love to just start, before we delve into the women's rights and the politics and the landscapes that you're involved with, I'd love to just kind of start from the beginning and have our audience hear from you. Who is Paola and where did it all really begin for her?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm an activist, author, entrepreneur, and now I'm also a producer because I have a new project. I'm producing a documentary on really important social issues. I will tell you more about after. I describe myself as a fighter as well because this is my character, my personality. So I was brought up in Italy, in the northeast of Italy, in a very conservative family. And I struggled where I was a child. I was very happy at home because especially my father was very conservative, very strong. It could be also violent sometimes. So I was very scared of him and I didn't feel loved as I needed. I felt he wasn't understand me, and so it was very, very hard for me. I also saw the misogyny that was involved in my upbringing, not only in the community but definitely also in my family. You know, I remember my father talking about the fact the difference between my brother and me, and brought up the surname through his children, and I wouldn't have done that because of course at the time in Italy you couldn't give this surname, your surname as a mother, to your children. That is something unbelievable. It's still like that legally. If you don't make a request, if you make a request, they can let you add your surname to the one of your children. Can you imagine? But anyway, so small things, bigger things, and I was really struggling, and I think I developed my feminism during that time, even without knowing that. And then I was lucky enough to study political science that I loved so much. I studied history of religions. I understood why, traditional and patriarchal societies are acting like they're acting, and they also the strong connections between, religion and culture. And I understood much better, the society in which I was living, and I decided that I should have done something in order to change it. So that's why I always tried on a side, even when I was working in politics or when I wasn't started becoming an entrepreneur. I decided to do some activism in order to give back to society, in order to help other women. And even if I help only one girl, only one woman, I'm happy. Because if I can inspire only one person to change their life, to feel more empowered, to find, the way to speak up, stand up for her rights. That's for me, it's my mission, seriously. And that's why also I wrote my book, Saving the World, Women, the 21st Century Factor for Change. I published it in Italy and in the UK, and now I'm actually writing a second book. I will let you know after some detail about that. And definitely in this book, I go through, all the history of traditions that are very, very misogynistic. And the horror of this tradition is still with us sometimes, in some parts of the world, even in the United Kingdom, I'm afraid. And I tell, I want to write about that because I think we can't turn the blind eye, these problems. We have to face them. We have to talk about them. We have to acknowledge that there is still a lot to do. And my opinion is that, until all of us will be free in every part of the world, all our sisters will be free, none of us will be free.
Absolutely. So talking about that, a famous feminist, of course, is Joan of Arc, who is very famous in saying that she's not afraid. She was born to do this. And it seems like you have a similar embodiment of fearlessness. Where does this come from? Is it not about having fear, or is there a healthy balance in having fear and knowing how to navigate through that sense of fear?
I definitely think everyone has fears, more or less, and you have to navigate them. I decide personally to go through them, to destroy my fears, and sometimes, also to follow my anger in a good way, with a positive meaning. Because for me, sometimes hunger is just a creative force. It's something that lets you, stand up and speak up. Like Rosa Parks, one day she decided she didn't want to be discriminated anymore. And she helped so many other people just by doing that. And this is amazing, and she was just tired of being discriminated. So that's the point, I think we have to, all of us, we have to just, say, this is enough. This is enough, even if I'm scared, I have to say something. I have to do something. And then, of course, I think maybe my character helps me, because I'm quite fiery, fiercey. So maybe that helps me. But definitely, I think everyone can do that.
Talking about emotions and fiery, what do you make of the angry feminist stereotype that sometimes women are labeled as when they speak out so vocally about these things?
Oh my gosh, I just hate all stereotypes, seriously, Farah. I'm like, I hate all of them. Can you imagine, like saying Italians, they're all mafia people, how stupid, or, thinking that all black men, they are, dangerous. Come on. I mean, all stereotypes are just absurd and, stupid. I think only ignorant people, they can follow them. And so, yeah, I just think this one is another one to be put in the trash.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. You can't stereotype anybody, really. And so at the moment, whose work are you following, and whose work are you really excited to see develop in the coming years?
I mean, I'm excited about everything that is happening because, I can see changes everywhere. I can see changes everywhere. Look at what is happening, in the United States. I truly believe that women's voters, they made the difference in, voting for Biden and Harris, and let them win at the end. So I strongly believe that feminists, and they can be women and men as well, but they can change the world 100%. This is happening already under
Absolutely.
our eyes.
It is a unity of brotherhood and sisterhood. And talking about unity, in the last few years, obviously, we've seen the Black Lives Matter and the Me Too campaign completely change the narrative around equality. So how important do you think it is for all of these different movements to stand together and to work together for the causes, to create this balance of equality around the world?
It is fundamental. It is really fundamental, Farah. Oh my God. I think, Black Lives Matters and feminism and LGBTQ, communities, we all have one mission. And the mission is to end all oppressions that are all connected to the patriarchal society. They're all connected. one to the other. It's like a chain of oppressions, so we have to dismantle the whole system, of beliefs, of prejudice, of biases. We have to just break it and create a new world where none of these would be accepted. We don't have to accept it anymore. Before we were maybe indifferent. We thought, it's something that is not related to me, it's not affecting me, but actually it is affecting us.
Yes, it absolutely is. And so, talking about politics, I know this is a field that you're very passionate about, and you've been involved heavily in politics in the past, and most notably when you worked as an executive director in a school for the Democratic Party in Italy. So, talk to us a bit about, the Italian landscape, and what do you think is the key to engaging the next generation into these issues? Because I'm sure you've seen the landscape evolve heavily from the last few decades.
Yes, thank God it's evolving heavily, especially in Italy. But still, there is so much to do. I love politics. I love to read about that, be informed. I love to do my own little things, even in my own community, even in your own family. You can actually do politics. So when you speak with your children, and you talk to them about what's happening around the world, what's happening in the society, you can talk about something that really caught your attention, and you can explain your opinions. So I truly believe each of us is responsible, and each of us can make the difference. So, and another thing that I believe is that we have to not to be afraid to try to be to put ourselves there. I love when I see women who wants to be elected, to whatever is the position in a small, place, or in the higher, place, like, I don't know, willing to become prime minister or president. Why not? Why not? And actually, I think as a woman, we have to vote more for other women. We should try. Of course, we are not all the same. Of course, we are not all good because, like men, they're not, all bad. That's the reality, and that's why I always say try to find a feminist, because even between women there are differences. There are the ones who are more vocal and fearless, who wants to fight for other women. They're the ones like, as an example, Miss Iron Lady, the Thatcher. They didn't really care about other women's destiny. So I always say vote for women, and definitely try to vote for the ones who are feminists.
And so, when it comes to the next generation, do you feel like they might have been sort of turned off by just how crazy this whole thing has gone in the last few years? Or do you think that, what do you think will be a key to sort of engaging them and getting them inspired to be a part of the change and the changing world?
I think they actually should not be turned off at all. I think they should be furious. I think they should be furious. And I think actually Trump had this effect on the new generation. He made many of them furious, about this oppression, this discrimination, this conservative type of society, very unjust, and very bad for the majority of the people. So I think they should just understand that they are our future, and that we rely on them. We need them. I love to talk with young girls. I'm lucky enough to be a mother of two young adults, and I love to talk with their friends as well. For me, it's fascinating. I learn so much all the time, and I just love these new generations, because I think they're much better than eventually we were. I think they don't want to be oppressed. I think they are disgusted by many things that maybe we were accepting when we were younger, and that's great. That's really great. As an example, now in the United Kingdom, we have The Crown, the third episodes, the season. I don't know if you're watching them, and they're very popular. So this is a time, when they talk about Prince Charles and Princess Diana. And many of the young girls are just horrified about the life she had to go through, because it's true, for a young one, I mean, this is unacceptable. This is not even something that you should even think about, not even do. But actually she was the virgin who was just put through and used, because this was, what it was. And it was accepted at the time that, in order to be part of the system, you should just be silent, accept everything, just be happy to be a princess with no love, no affection, and something else. So yeah, time changed, and our new generations are definitely wiser.
I will admit I watched the whole season in about less than 24 hours.
Okay.
But and of course, I think there's a part in there which is like, of course there is a lot, that there is a certain amount there that's not the truth in terms of the depiction of history and things like that. And I think that there's a bit of backlash about the fact that, maybe they should have put a disclaimer that some things have been, sort of falsified, for viewers' effect. But however, as you said, the key in that sort of plot line between Diana and Charles obviously is the fact that she was the sacrificial lamb, and he was forced to marry somebody, or encouraged to marry somebody that he didn't truly love. And how
Yeah,
did
of course,
he was love
he was
somebody
a
else.
victim as well. Of course, he was a victim as well of the
Of course.
system, because
Yeah.
I mean, he couldn't marry in the first time, place the love of his life, because
Yeah.
she had too much history.
Yeah.
That's crazy, this
Yeah,
nonsense.
yeah, absolutely. That's the sad thing. So going back to Italy, what are your feelings at the moment? What do you want to see change for your country?
Yeah, of course I want, even if I live in London, my heart always beats for Italy. I think it's a beautiful country. Unfortunately, I don't see, I'm not so optimistic nowadays, because I'm still, quite involved in the political dynamics. But still, I'm positive for the future. I hope that when all this madness of, COVID and the crisis will end, maybe in a few years, I think eventually, we could see the light again. But definitely it's difficult. It's really difficult, Farah, because we have to change. And Italy, maybe people, they don't know, but it's a very conservative country, very conservative. So we have to change everything, starting from the economical, system to, I mean, the way we treat and discriminate women, because still Italy is one of the worst countries in Europe for related to the way they treat women, and this is just non acceptable.
So when you were working, over there in politics, what were some of the things that you were doing to kind of make a change?
So personally, I was always telling the professors I was working with, you have to give voice to more women. You have to involve them, because they were just asking men, I mean, incredible men, intellectual, very, very smart and everything, to talk, and to give lessons, and to be, at the on the stage. And I said, to everyone every day, we need to give visibility to other women, because we have other women, we have huge amount of, professionals and, lawyers, economists, name them, entrepreneurs who are female, and just, as good as men. And I said, no one maybe knows them. We need to let them, have the light of the stage as well, because visibility is strictly connected with the power, and we need to empower women. We need to empower women. So that was my first mission, I remember, while I was working there. And then, of course, everything was connected, because I always tried to do a lot of flash mobs in order to support my friends who were MPs at the time, and they were debating eventually, laws that could help women. And I knew that my relationship with the press and the TV might have done the difference. So I was definitely using all my connections all the time in order to help.
And so the debate around social media and its impacts on activism has been, well documented. And there are many that say that those sites offer previously disenfranchised individuals as a platform to share revolutionary ideas. And others argue that it in fact stifles genuine conversation, discovery, and debate. Where do you stand on social media? Do you think it is an effective tool when looking to advocate for change? Is it something you found has personally got the results you want for change?
Yeah, I think social media can definitely help to change the society, are already helping in that sense. We see, you know, the Me Too movement. It would be impossible without social media. And I think it's a great way to disrupt, you know, the system. I I think it can help definitely revolutionary ideas. I think they might be good revolutionary ideas, and also, you know, it all depends on the point of view you have, you know, related to what is a revolution. Because if you think about, you know, more than 100, just a little bit more than 100 years ago, thinking about women, you know, voting at the elections was considered a crazy revolutionary idea. Now we think this is just the minimum standard of democracy. So you see, thank God, you know, we change opinion when time pass, and maybe one day we will think about, you know, other issues that now we are suffering, like completely, you know, unacceptable, you know, issues, and we will live in a completely different world.
It seems like sometimes, you know, there isn't a balance in the pendulum, because I feel like it's, you know, it's definitely necessary and it makes a huge change, and at this moment in time it's been one of the things that's kept us all connected. But at the same time, it can have such an adverse effect, and there isn't enough policing on the internet to the people that, you know, say negative things. And it's the same as globalization. We just went so fast, and there wasn't the opportunity to take a step back and like reflect if this is really what was the healthiest thing for this planet. So I just hope that social media and the technology won't go that same way. But I feel
I
like
agree
it
with you
is.
in the sense that definitely we need more control. Unfortunately, Facebook, I don't use Facebook, but it's not really doing the right things, unfortunately, because it's not, you know, controlling fake news. And that's really bad. I really hope in the future they will change. So there is still much to do. I agree with you, but definitely I see the positive points, and and by nature I like to focus more on the positive side.
Absolutely, no, 100%. So let's talk about your book, because you referenced it a little bit earlier on, and your book, Saving the World, became a bestseller, which is an absolutely incredible achievement. So talk us through that journey, and also as an author, what do you want your literary legacy to be?
Yes, I, you know, for me, saving the world was like a baby. It is like a baby, you know, still, because I decided to write it after, I think, 10 years of experience and studies. I just wanted to share my knowledge, what I learned, you know, through my experience, just observing other people, just studying. And because every time I was talking to someone, I felt like there was a need to explain the things because they weren't really widespread. You know, I was like, oh my gosh, maybe we're not on the same page, because they actually don't know something about history of women. You know, they don't know something that happened. They don't know why, you know, the society is constructed in this way. And I felt the need to just share you know, these opinions. And I immediately received a lot of support the first time in Italy, and then of course when I published in the UK, from girls and women, you know, contacting me and finding me on social media, and just sending me the sweetest messages, like, you know what, I really decided to change my life after I read the book. Before, I wasn't really doing anything for myself. I wasn't you know, supporting my own, you know, life and career and my own self. And I was so happy about this, you know, and I'm still, and when I talk, of course, not during COVID times, but when I talk and I present the book, or you know, they invite me to speak at events, when I finish, I always receive, you know, a lot of women coming and talking to me and telling me they relate with my story. They went through the same, and they agree with me, you know, that, and that's also very, very important for me, because I strongly believe we need to be united. We need to form, you know, a strong network, and we need to support each other. This is fundamental.
And is that something that you want to be known for, bringing people together in every sphere that you can?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially, yeah, talking about women's rights, I strongly believe that only united we can win. And definitely, again, you know, not only women, but also enlightened men. I always say that, I think when a man is enlightened, he feels, our pain. He feels the injustice. He understands what we are going through, and he wants to change this for the better. He wants to change maybe for his daughters, for his wife, for his sister. But definitely we need this kind of men who are empathetic and who are, fighting with us, because we can create a better world for everyone, seriously, not only for women.
I think a lot of it comes down to upbringing and the environment, and what you've been allowed to do and stuff. And I come from an Indian background and Pakistani background, and also East Africa, and the culture is very much like the guy is the absolute king of the family, and he shouldn't even have to lift a finger. He shouldn't have to even run his own bath, or not even allowed in the kitchen. And it's crazy. I mean, I think this is more maybe our parents' generations, but that's crazy, because then they come into the real reality and they're completely helpless. They don't know what to do, and they just view it as it's the woman's role to do those types of things, and it's absolutely not, because some of the best chefs in the world are men. I mean, there's nothing that should limit us from all doing the same
But
things.
Italy was the same. Italy was the same. Can you imagine? So two different countries, with different religions, different part of the world, they just were sharing the same. And this is just a system of oppression of women, especially of young girls. That's why, we used to get married very young. We used to be, forbidden to study. I'm talking about the past, but that was a form of oppression, because when you can't study, when you don't have your own money, when you're separated from your original family, from your, circle of friends, and when you have kids very young, I mean, you just become, an object, maybe like a servant, of a husband who might be bad or good, but just by luck, you don't know, you can't tell, especially if they found the husband for yourself. And unfortunately, there are many, many girls who are in the same condition nowadays. I hate the word child bride that many journalists use, because it's a nonsense. If you're a child, you can't be a bride. So it's impossible, I mean, they're just, victims. They're victims, they're child victims, they're abused. I consider, this marriage is just some kind of, legalized pedophilia. So we have to save these girls. We have to save, the women.
Yeah, it's really just heartbreaking about, as you say, legalized pedophilia. That's literally what it is. And we really must do as much as we can. We can't not turn a blind eye to it. Being lucky enough to be here in the West, and having a roof over our heads, we really have to make change for all of those people around the world who don't have the same freedoms that we do. What do you believe is the ultimate reason for oppression in this world? Why do you think people want to control us at the end of the day when it comes down to it?
It's all about controlling our sexuality. Everything started from there, because we were children. And as the Latins used to say, mater semper certa est, but pater, is not, the father is not, or, we don't really know unless you do take the DNA test. And so that's why was invented the marriage. That's why, was invented, the need of a virginity for women, of course, only for women, not for men. That's why, it's so important. It was so important. I mean, luckily it's not anymore, especially in the Western countries. So it's all really connected in controlling our body. And the same thing, you see it's happening, in the States, in America, that don't want to give, in America, in Poland, as you just saw, they don't want to give the women the rights to determine if they might need an abortion or not. We don't need a legislator to tell us that. I mean, we are very capable to understand by, ourselves. And no one really is happy to go through an abortion. You know, it's not something that makes happy any girl or any woman. It's a tragedy every time it happens, you know. So, but it's all a matter of power. You know, who has the power to control our body? Women, ourselves, or someone else? Historically, patriarchal society wanted to control our bodies and our lives. Now we want to change things, and we want to be able to just control ourselves.
What do you think people in those positions of power at the end of the day, what do they gain from controlling somebody else's body? What do you think their ultimate gain is for them?
They control the public sphere, as an example. You know, for centuries women were just relegated in the household. We had to do houses stuff work, you know, and we were like kind of housekeepers, of course, if we weren't you know, nobles or very rich ones. And who wants to do that? You know, definitely men don't want to do that. You know, historically they didn't. They preferred much, you know, to go out and you know, control the public sphere, gain power, you know, gain money, because financial independence make you powerful, make you free. And they're all things that are connected, unfortunately. So this is a time to give some of this power to women as well, in order to create a more balanced society and in order not to oppress anyone.
Talking about your time as an entrepreneur, has there ever been, what have you had to sacrifice to, what have you had to say no to get to where you want to be? And how much of your success in not only just in business but in life has been about knowing when to walk away?
It's really important to know to walk away, and especially to say no. It's very, very important. It's important to be strong and show that you are strong. That is another thing. You know, you need a poker face sometimes. Sometimes, even if you really need, you know, something, but you don't have to show that you need that. You know what I mean? In order to be, you know, a strong entrepreneur who knows, you know, her value. So you don't have to go to too many compromises, because if not, people will think that your value is diminished. They will think they can buy you. They will think they can offer you less money for everything you do, you know. So I actually personally always put my, you know, companies and my level very, very high, very high. And I never wanted to go low, because I knew that there would be a problem, you know. I still remember a client many, many years ago, almost at the beginning, I would say maybe 14 years ago, in Italy, a famous entrepreneur. And he needed one of the services, you know, my company was offering. So he wanted to really talk to me, with the founder. Fine. I said, okay. And he said, listen, so Yana, I made, you know, a survey on all the companies that are offering the same service in Italy. And they are so cheap. It's so much cheaper compared to your company. That is that, you know, it's unbelievable. But then I thought, if they're so, you know, expensive and they're still on the market and apparently they're doing very well, you know, from the reviews and everything, there must be something good that they're doing, you know, because I believe in the market, and I believe that if you do something good, then the market, you know, makes you the winner, you know, gives you back. And I said, you are absolutely right, you know, so you should come with us and you should try, you know, yourself. And he was so happy, and then he even, you know, give me with a marvelous bag at the end. Not that I, you know, receive so many gifts usually, but I was very, very pleased. And this is the way I think, you know. I think if you are doing a great thing, a great service, a great product, whatever, you know, you have to stand there and just don't accept too many compromise. Don't accept when people want to, you know, to disvalue what you do. So you have to be proud of yourself and of your work, you know, and let them understand that they have to value. Tell you the truth, actually, I went through abuse with my father, who was just, you know, psychologically, emotionally abusive, and, you know, sometimes also violent when I was a child, and it was very scary for me. But my husband, no, it was really a good man. I actually married a very good man. It was just not right for me, you know. So I married very young. I think I definitely needed a father figure. But then, you know, I decided it would have been a mistake for myself and my children as well, to just stay in the wrong marriage. But he definitely was a very good man, and it was just wrong for me. Yeah.
So let's talk about martial arts, because I know that's something that you're super, super passionate about. And then the areas I know you're training in is Krav Maga and Jiu-Jitsu. So what has that taught you about the importance of discipline?
Yeah, I love martial arts. I think everyone should do one at least. Of course, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is the best for me now. Even though, as you said, I tried others. I actually tried definitely Krav Maga. That is a mix of martial arts. It's not really a proper martial art. I tried Muay Thai and kickboxing for many years, and also boxing for a while, because I had even to box for a charity event. And martial arts, they really give you the sense of discipline and the sense of patience, the sense that you have to earn it, so you have to really work hard in order to achieve a result. And they're all things that are good in life, because they teach you to be strong, they teach you to be resilient, they teach you to be patient, they teach you not to get scared, when you are in a bad situation, but to stay calm, because staying calm is fundamental if you want to react in a proper way. And they also let you feel strong, and it's very, very important, because you don't have to only be strong in your mind and let your body go. Absolutely not, because body and mind are connected. So strong mind and strong body, and vice versa. And you don't have to be strong, in order to just having a lot of muscles. I'm not saying that. In fact, actually, in jiu-jitsu, definitely muscles count, but not so much. Techniques are more important, as an example. It's a different way of being strong. It's a way also of feeling that you can do it, and when you feel that you can do it, and when you feel that you are actually capable, everything changes around you and inside you. I always say that I think one session of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is like one session of free therapy. So I would definitely suggest everyone who is listening, and yourself as well, to try. Let's come when they will open the gyms again, of course.
So you haven't been able to do any of it in lockdown, or?
Unfortunately not. I go to the park running and working out, and walking, and I love that. Of course, I love to be in touch with nature, but I can't wait for the gyms to be open again.
Yeah, 100% agreed with you there. And so going back to kind of some of the stuff you're talking about, when we play sports, or when we get involved in sports, obviously there's a competitive nature, and sometimes it can become almost an obsessive nature about your opponent. So when you're in that mindset, how much of it is about defeating the other person, or how much of it is about defeating the voice in your head?
I mean, they're connected, of course. Personally, the main competition that I feel is within myself, because I love to learn. I love to make things right in the right way, and I just want to be the best version of myself that I can be. But of course, when you're doing a competition, you always have to be in the competitive mood. So you have to prove that you're actually better than the other person, with no bad feelings. Of course, it's just a sport. So when you finish, you just can hug and shake hands and be very professional. And yeah, but competition is good. I think competition is part of our lifestyle. I tell you the truth. I don't see anything wrong in that. I actually think that women should be more ambitious, because being ambitious is a way of being competitive, because out there is like a jungle, so we all have to compete in order to succeed in some way, in every industry, really. So I'm for that.
100%. And you mentioned earlier that you have two children, so and they're beautiful children. I've had the pleasure of meeting one of them anyway. But what has having children taught you about yourself, and how's that journey of motherhood been for you?
Oh my gosh, I mean, motherhood really changed me, and it made me a better person, and it gave me a lot of responsibilities quite young, because I had them in my early 20s. But I love every second of their upbringing, because they don't only ask you a lot, they also give you a lot. They give you a lot of love and purpose. You have a purpose in life. That's why I value mothers. When I have to hire someone, I don't discriminate them. And for an Italian, it's quite it's quite something strange, because unfortunately we are still discriminating women, especially if there are single mothers. On the contrary, I think motherhood is like a master degree. I really value it, because I think you learn how to do maybe more things in a shorter time period, because you have a limited time, and you're very responsible, especially if you have to earn for them as well in order to sustain them. You really need a job, you really need to work, you are very reliable, you are trustworthy. So we have to all support more mothers in our communities. And definitely I'm very maternal, it's my instinct. So I'm very happy I had them. And now we are also friends, they're young adults, they go to university. I'm really proud of them. Yeah.
Oh, and Paola, something you said to me once when we were talking was a while ago, and we were catching up, was you shared with me when you first felt free, and I thought that was really powerful. And I'd love for you to just explain that to our audience. So when you personally first felt your freedom.
I mean, freedom comes in many ways. Personally, I felt I was free when I understood that, first of all, economically, I was independent. I was independent from my husband. I was independent from my original family, from my father. I made it. So I became a successful entrepreneur with my own forces, starting from nothing, just, with one idea. And then I was feeling free when I was mentally evolved, when I understood that I had to unlearn what they taught me, what a child, what they showed me that was the normality, the reality. So again, I think, when I was maybe 35, I felt that I was wiser, and I realized that reality wasn't static, wasn't the one that I learned. It was something that could have changed. And I was part of this change, and I felt free. I felt like, wow, I can make my own life. I can change things. I can help other people to change with me, I can have a dream and make other people dream with me. And that's the most important and powerful thing you can do, dream together a better world for everyone.
Definitely. And how did you break those self-limiting beliefs that you were taught as a child, or some of the negative things that that you were led to believe growing up?
Definitely, education is the key. Education is the key. That's why I support so much Malala, because I think she's such a champion for women. When she says it, just one champagne, one book is totally right. So education and being able to study with very good professors, it really change your life. It can really change your life and your mindset toward life. And then, of course, the example, I had a lot of role models, men, mainly, I have to say, more than women, but they were amazing. And I just, thought, I can become like them. I can do it. And I will. I was just, positive about that. And I saw the world in a different way. Also feeling more confident about myself, because you have to feel confident, Farah. If you are scared, if you are undecided, if you don't value yourself, all these things, they just keep you down. And we have to start from ourselves. That's the most important thing, like learning who we are really and truly, and who we want to be. And then from there, step by step, we can grow. And it's very, very important that we feel our voice, our inner strength, and loud and clear. So Everyone can do that. Seriously, as I did, everyone can do that.
Absolutely. And I think once you start that journey and you get on that first step, it then becomes infectious, and there's no turning back from the happiness that you feel. And sometimes, life throws you curveballs and you have to figure out how to come back. But I think once you've built what you mentioned about the rituals and the surroundings, particularly the people around you, the tribe, the people that lift you up, those are the things that will hopefully always kind of lift you up, right? So talking about difficult times, what's 2020 been like for you? What have been your biggest takeaways, and what would you like to achieve next year?
2020 is definitely the most challenging year ever. I mean, not only for myself, for I think the majority of people. I learned that as an entrepreneur, I can survive everything if I survived, this period, and I did. I keep investing in myself, in my projects. So as I told you, I started writing and researching for my next book. That would be about, marriage, attachment, sex, and all these, things connected together. And I'm producing a documentary because I strongly believe in the power of media, and personally, I love documentaries. And I want to talk about social issues. So now we are filming the first episode, of course, with all the problems of lockdown. And there will be 8 episodes. And we have to still decide which network, but I would definitely keep you updated.
That sounds amazing. Well, Paola, thank you so much for coming on the show. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us, or you'd like to ask before we end?
Oh, no, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. I know your podcast is very successful, so well done you. I'm really happy I could share, my knowledge, my life, and my experiences. If anyone wants to get in touch, please let me know, if they write to you. I'm happy to be in touch. And good luck to everyone with their, change and their, journey of becoming free and empowered.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. We'll put your links to get in touch directly with Paola in the episode notes, so do keep an eye out for that. And thanks so much, Paola.
Lovely. Thank you, Farah.
It was really inspiring hearing the resilient spirit and positive mindset Paola has embodied throughout her life. There were many things that struck a chord with me in this episode, and I'm sure they struck a chord with you too, particularly around the discussion of empowerment and how we can all support the tribes around us, forming stronger networks and stronger communities, because by empowering others, you empower yourself. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to listen to this episode. I hope you're leaving with some great inspiration that can help you with whatever you want to achieve in your life. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe via your favourite podcast platform so you can be notified when a new episode is posted. It would also mean the world to us if you could rate and review the show and share it with your friends so we can reach as many people as possible. If you want to reach out to me as well, you can get in touch directly at dj.n1nja on Instagram and Twitter. That's dj.n1nja, and also at Mission Makers on social media. Thanks so much again for listening. Until next time, Mission Makers, stay safe and have an amazing week.